Um, Let me start with a quote which I believe captures the essence of the overall situation and developments now in Europe and beyond. I quote, "We know that if Putin is successful here, he will not stop. He will continue to take more aggressive action in the region. And quite frankly, if Ukraine falls, I really believe that NATO will be in a fight with Russia," end of quote. These were the words of a high-ranking official of the US government, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, speaking a few days ago before the House of Representatives. Quite a stern warning, clear and unambiguous. Ironically, Ukraine has been talking about this all along. On the eve of the full-scale invasion 2 years ago, Foreign Minister Kuleba warned that no nation would be able to sit out the crisis that was about to begin. 2 years on, the alternative has become more than clear. Either we stop Russia in Ukraine now by expelling the invaders, or we face a fire that will claim millions of lives of Ukrainians and not only. And this is what Lloyd Austin and many other officials and leaders of the Euro-Atlantic community are essentially speaking about. Ever louder now and increasingly without mincing their words. Russia needs to be defeated in Ukraine to prevent a much larger disaster from befalling Europe. This is now the Euro-Atlantic perspective. As is the prospect and perhaps urgency of consolidating the area of freedom and European values on the continent to include all nations that share these values and share the resolve to defend them. This process is well in progress, and Ukraine is looking forward to becoming a part of this family. The times ahead of us are hard and probably tragic. Ukraine has gone through the most difficult period in its history. We have seen whole villages, towns, and even bigger cities virtually destroyed, erased. We have seen many thousands killed, wounded, and maimed, millions of lives ruined, families that will never be happy again. What is happening in the occupied areas is beyond description, just horror. It all starts with a campaign of mass rapes once the village or town is secured, followed by looting, detentions, tortures, forced disappearances, and expulsions. Stealing Ukrainian children and taking civilian hostages are some of the most horrible Russian crimes. In Avdiivka, just the latest example, immediately after occupying the city, the Russians committed new war crimes. As confirmed by footage circulated by Russian propaganda itself, at least 5 Ukrainian prisoners of war, and maybe more, heavily wounded, were deliberately killed by Russians on camera. There's literally not a single atrocity listed in the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court that Russia has not committed in the course of this war. Then, the usual scenario, so familiar to many peoples from the history of the former Soviet Union and also from the history of the Russian Empire as well, is implemented. Mass displacement and demographic change. We know well why this is done. This renewed genocidal practice is extensively reflected in the reports of the UN, the OSCE, and other organizations. These are the realities we have all seen in many parts of Ukraine, in Irpin, in Bucha, in Izum, in Donbass. And Ukrainians know what they are fighting for and what expects them if Russia succeeds in its objectives. For us, there is no question of fatigue, indecisiveness, or doubt. We must fight on to survive, and we will resist. The question today is rather for the Euro-Atlantic community. I have said it before and need to repeat it now. Kremlin's appetites go far beyond Ukraine, and Russia is openly talking about them. Whether it is Putin's address to the parliament last week or a statement before youth a few days ago by Dmitry Medvedev, deputy head of Russia's Security Council and former president of Russia, they are not hiding it. Russians use blackmail, including nuclear blackmail, because it works. And the more it works, the more they will do it. Europe and the Euro-Atlantic community at large must not allow to be blackmailed. This is now a matter of its survival too, because Russia is the problem, the global problem. I am glad this understanding is now growing, including in this region. Russian aggression is the greatest threat to the European security and international peace. This is a quote. This is what the leaders of the Southeast Europe states said in their declaration adopted last week in Tirana. Ukrainians now know what needs to be done and what we have learned how to push Russia back. Ukraine has managed to ruin Russia's plans at the start of this invasion and been able to liberate large parts of its land, territory, and of the Black Sea. As was recognized in the G7 statement on the 24th of February, the Ukrainian people have proven their will to defeat the Russian war machine, restore their national territorial integrity, to defend Ukraine's sovereignty and independence. And Ukraine wants peace more than any other nation. However, we are not going to allow Russia to kill us freely on the road to peace. Nor will we accept any offer of surrender or to concede our lands and freedoms under the guise of peace.